drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. My name is the second here, hanging out with Mr. Adam Long. Always good to have Adam back on the show. Good to see you, Adam. Hope you're well this week, man.
Doing well. Thank you for having me back. I always enjoy coming on and bantering as we do.
Absolutely, man. It's a heck of a lot of fun always. Always good to see you. And we've got a lot to talk about today, including, we got this kind of regular segment that we've started doing each month, bringing you on to talk about new physical releases. We call that home delivery. And we'll get to that at the bottom half of the show. But first half, we've got a couple of reviews to dive into. And before that, though, I've got to mention a friend of mine, Earl Owensby, 50 years ago. So 50 years ago, the month of November, he launched his studio, started shooting his first film, Challenge. And I just got to acknowledge that. I've had an opportunity to stay in touch with Earl over the years, and I did some work for him back in the early 2000s as well, and got to know him back in 93. So at that point, it was the 20th anniversary of the studio launching, and we just kind of hit it off. And it's just been a joy to keep up with him over the years. And I've seen him a couple times this past month, and just want to send a shout out to Earl and all that he means to independent motion pictures and the launch, really a pioneer in so many ways of the film industry in North Carolina. So Earl Owensby, we celebrate you, man. EO, we celebrate you right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Happy 50th anniversary of starting something that made an impact on so many careers, for sure. Indeed, and don't sell yourself short, because you are bearing the lead. You directed a film about his life and career. So, well, it was a joy to be a part of that, and I've continued to think about that, especially as we've approached this kind of 50th anniversary. I'm like, wow, just the people I was able to interview, and there were a lot I wasn't able to interview. And what's been interesting, Adam, I'll give you a tidbit. I'm working on a documentary series now. Kind of highlighting some of those that were behind the scenes that worked with Earl, and I've already got some of those interviews lined up, and so I'm excited to be able to share those. We're going to share some of those also on Meet Me at the Movies as well, so I'm excited to be able to do that, to continue to celebrate his legacy of cinema right here in North Carolina and beyond. I will share this, I found a German film trailer of his film Dark Sunday, and it was dubbed in German, and I found that last week. It was just this gem. I'd never seen it, and I was so excited to see that. I had to download that trailer, and it was pretty fun. So, and actually maybe even sharing some of that. Yep, there it is. Some of the footage going on right here on Meet Me at the Movies. We'll be exploring Earl much more, for sure, in the next month or so. Well, Adam, let's dive into some of these reviews. I think you've got one called the Holdovers that we're going to talk about.
I do. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of Alexander Payne, the film director who started his career almost 30 years ago with Citizen Ruth. And right from the get-go with Citizen Ruth, I was just a tremendous fan. He operates on my wavelength, and I totally get where he's... he had a little bit of a stumble with his last film, Downsizing. It kind of got lukewarm reviews. I didn't think it was terrible. I just thought some of the ideas weren't quite as well developed as they maybe should have been. But I'm proud to report that he has rebounded with his latest film, The Holdovers, which is his reteaming with Paul Giamatti from his well-regarded 2004 film Sideways, which a lot of people have said that the character in Sideways is me if you take wine and substitute movies for that, because he's so obsessive about it. And a lot of my close friends say that is the closest representation of you I've seen in a movie, is that guy in Sideways. So I guess I take it as a badge of honor. I don't know.
So do you feel it's true? Do you feel it's
yes, there's a lot of truth there. Yes, there is. Yes, he's especially when he says he's not going to date a girl who doesn't drink, who drinks Merlot or whatever. It's like, yeah, that substitute a movie title, and if she watches so and so, if she thinks so and so is a good film, nope, not for me. So yeah, there's a lot of. But anyway, this is a really good film. Now, it doesn't quite reach the heights of Sideways. Sideways is, to me, it's pure perfection. This is just a notch below that, but still very well done. And he's playing a very similar character to the one that we saw in Sideways. And he's essentially a curmudgeonly professor who's kind of given up on finding love, and he just basically buries himself in intellectual pursuits. And he works at a boarding school, and anyway, he winds up getting saddled with taking care of these kids over the holidays, babysitting them, if you will. Kids who can't get home is essentially what it, and it takes place in 1970 going into 1971. And so the period detail is just amazing. The desaturation of the, well, I don't know if it's desaturation of the colors, but the color schemes of the film, just, it's amazing how it's very subtle. Even when the movie first comes on, you see that little, you remember back in the 70s, it used to say, this motion picture has been rated R, and it was against a blue background. That even shows up at the beginning of the film. So it's just amazing, wow, the detail that the lengths that he's gone to make this look like a film that was shot in 1970. So you must, we must mention that. And he uses his regular editor, Kevin Tent, who has done all of his, previously worked with him on all of his features, and he just does such wonders with the material. But essentially, all of the kids get to go home except for one, and the Paul Giamatti character, whose name is Paul Hunnam, he winds up stuck with the one kid and the cook in the kitchen who has lost her son in Vietnam. And so she's still grieving over that. So the three of them eventually bond through a series of misadventures and incidents that I won't recount here because you need to see it yourself. But it's just a beautiful film brimming with humanity. It's the kind of film you walk out of the theater and it lingers with you a long time after. And it's, we've had a lean couple of years in terms of movies. I've really struggled to find a top 10 list for the last 2 years, and that's something I never thought I would see. But I think that this year is going to be a little bit different. This is certainly going to make my top 10, definitely. And so The Holdovers is a triumphant return to form for Mr. Alexander Payne, and I just wanted to recommend that. If you like his films, just go in there knowing that you're going to get what you have gotten in the past, and maybe a little more so.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And but as you're talking about the Holdovers and the way it was shot to kind of put you in that vibe of a time period and shot like that time period, I love that. And there was a recent film, in the past year called Pinball. And it was shot kind of that same way, where it put you in the vibe of the time period, and you felt like, okay, this could have been shot in this time period, and I really like that because it feels right. It feels right, and to be able to do that and to do that well, I mean, Alexander Payne, of course, can make that happen. So that's no surprise to me whatsoever. Any final thoughts or comments you want to make sure you share about Holdovers?
I'm just happy that these kind of films are still getting made, even though they're becoming rarer and rarer each day, with the studio's desire to reap more and more profits by just essentially doing the same thing over and over again. And it's just nice to have films about people and things that we can relate to, things that, real people and real people problems. Let's put it that way. And that's it's nice. So good
that's
stuff.
Right. So what's your rating for
A minus? A minus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. A minus for Holdovers, and look for that during FYC. We'll see what kind of love Alexander Payne gets for this particular film. Well, let me give a quick overview of we talked earlier about Awkwafina and a film called The Quiz Lady, and there is a 20th Century Studios. I still have to stop myself from saying 20th Century Fox, but 20th Century Studios has produced this buddy comedy with Awkwafina and Sandra Oh called Quiz Lady, And it really is. It's a buddy comedy, road trip comedy. In many ways, it kind of reminds me of the Chris Farley, David Spade kind of films like Black Sheep, and and some of those. You can't find this on Hulu, so it's a 20th Century Studios release. It's available on Hulu, so you can see this brand new film if you have access to that. And I've got to say the storyline is pretty simple. Sandra Oh, Aquafina's characters are sisters, and they get word that their mom is no longer with us. She was in a retirement home, and they were like, what? And like, well, she's no longer with us because she's disappeared. She's run away. So you get that, like, oh, okay. So there's a lot of that just kind of interesting, subtle humor. You find out there's some gambling debts involved. There is a dog that's kidnapped or dog-napped. And basically, if they want to see the mom or the dog again, there's money involved, and that money is pretty substantial. Aquafina, her character is brilliant on these quiz shows. She just stores this amazing amount of trivial knowledge, and her sister finds out, and her sister basically says, "Hey, we'll get you on this quiz show. We'll make you the money, and then we can, everything will be okay. We'll pay off the debt. We'll find mom. We'll get the dog back. Everything will be okay." And that kind of starts that journey. And I've got to say the chemistry between the two, really wonderful. There are some set pieces that don't really work, others that work incredibly well. But it's honestly, it's that dynamic between the two of them and some of the dialogue that's interspersed that really, truly does click for me. I love buddy movies, buddy comedies. I always have. I don't know what it is about them, but I just enjoy them. And I also enjoy a good road trip comedy. And this one finds a way to do both. It's not excellent by any means. It is a film that is an escape film. And as I watched this, I was just looking for something to escape with for a little while. And it did just that. And if you're looking for that, if you're looking for something new, something completely fresh, something you've never seen before from a formula standpoint, this is not that film. But if you're just looking for 90 minutes or so just to kind of get away and have a little fun and have a few laughs along the way, it's a film that I recommend. So the film is called Quiz Lady, and there are a lot of cameos, including the late Paul Reubens, who's in this, also Will Ferrell in this as well, and a few others, Jason Schwartzman. So there are others you're going to recognize, and some you may not recognize, including Tony Hill as Benjamin Franklin, and that's another story. But the film, I'm giving a B- for Quiz Lady. It's decent for what it is, as long as you go in expecting it for what it is.
Well, very good. And there's another tie-in to Alexander Payne because Sandra Oh was his former wife. So
yeah,
there's that.
There you go, man. So
it's all tying together. It's all tying together.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to take a quick intermission right here on Meet Me at the Movies. After the break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk home delivery. A lot of things to try to cover in home delivery the last half of the show. So stick around. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Appreciate you, man. And for all those spending time with us, thank you as well. So we'll be right back right after this.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hi, I'm Shara Miller, the host of Artworks. Each month we bring to you wonderful, talented artists from here in Cleveland County and the region. We have artists, we have potters, we have painters, we have musicians, we have actors. We just have wonderful artists that come to you and tell you about all that they're doing, their creativity, what inspires them. Join me here on Artworks each month on C19. You can also watch us online at c19.tv.
Between your job, your family, and other demands on your time, life can get pretty hectic. So we want you to take time for yourself. Hi, I'm Jennifer Harrell, and I want you to join me for your health. Each month, the Cleveland County Health Department and C19 TV will explore topics that affect you and your family's health. We'll discuss the importance of exercise, a healthy diet, and regular health screenings and checkups. From fitness tips to warning signs to the latest healthcare news, For Your Health will help keep you in shape and up to date in Cleveland County. We want you to be your best, so join us each month for Your Health, right here on Spectrum Cable and online, c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hello, welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T, manning the second here with Adam Long, talking cinema. And we appreciate you spending time with us, however you choose to do that. If you're doing that through C19 TV, we appreciate that. And if you're doing that through WGWG, we appreciate that as well. So all we're doing is saying thank you, thank you, thank you. We're trying to do this each month, do what we call home delivery. And home delivery gives Adam a chance to look at physical media, stuff that is coming out newly restored, sometimes things that have never been released in certain formats. And so looking forward to hearing you to talk about a few of these, Adam. And what's the first one on your list, man?
Well, we'll go ahead and talk about a Warner Archive release. I'll hold that up there. Before Night Falls, which is, this was an Oscar nominee, appeared on over 75 10 best lists in the year 2000. It stars Javier Bardem and Johnny Depp actually appearing in this, Michael Wincott, and it's a biopic about the late Cuban poet Reinaldo Arenas. And he was victimized by the government. They banned his books, they jailed him, and it's a pretty hard-hitting look at his life and times. There are some, this is, like I said, Warner Archive does terrific work. I'll just go ahead and say that. They really do a splendid job with their Blu-rays. They put them on they encode them on a 50 gigabyte disc, so the bit rates are always high, and so and it looks, it's what you would expect. You get archival features mostly. You get a commentary with the actor, director, and it's directed by Julian Schnabel, who's also a painter, I believe. I believe he's an artist. He also directed Basquiat, and so he's in The Diving Bell and The Butterflies, another film he did that's really, really good. Yeah, this is they call it a tribute to the liberating power of art and one man's undying passion for life. I would agree with that. But Before Night Falls is one of the first time ever on Blu-ray, by the way.
Wow.
And so we will talk about that. Don't Look Now is one of my all-time favorite horror films. This has previously been issued by Criterion on Blu-ray, and then the rights, I believe, lapsed. Paramount was the studio that distributed Don't Look Now originally, and they've signed a new licensing agreement, I assume, and they've upgraded this to 4K Ultra HD, and it really, really, really looks good. It's a new digital restoration approved by the director. This is a terrific horror film about with Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie. They're grieving over the loss of their daughter, and they decide he restores churches for a living, so he takes on a project in Italy to help him overcome his grief. He and his wife go there, and they meet a psychic who tells them their daughter is trying to get in touch with them from beyond the grave, and he doesn't believe he doesn't believe in spiritual things. He believes it's all superstition, and yet his wife is more open to that, and his inability to be open to spiritual things actually leads to tragic consequences for all. I'll say no more than that. But it's just a film that's just it's filled with dread and just a sense of dread over the entire film. I remember seeing this in 1988 when I was about 18 at the time, and it just really, I caught it in the middle of the night, and it just, on Cinemax I think it was, and I was just blown completely away, and it has remained one of my favorite films ever since. And there's some mostly archival extras. You get a conversation between the editor of the film and Bobby Osteen, who's also in the editing profession, and you get a 2002 documentary with some of the participants behind the camera, behind the scenes, the director Nicholas Roeg and the cinematographer, and you also get a featurette with the film's composer Pino Donazio, who would go on to collaborate with Brian De Palma. This was his first film as a composer. He was actually a pop artist in Italy, and then was asked to compose the score for this film, and it led to a second career. So Don't Look Now, highly recommended, I would say.
And Julie Christie, I think I still look and think about acting talent that more people need to go back and look at the body of the work. And Julie Christie is one of those. Just absolutely a fascinating acting talent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a real controversial love scene in the film, and it works totally within the confines of the film's plot because you feel like the couple has drifted apart with the loss of their child, and there's a love scene where you feel like they're coming back together. They're finding each other after this horrible tragedy, and it was real controversial. It almost got the film an X rating because it's but it's very realistic. It's not anything that's, I don't feel like it's explicit just for the sake of being explicit. It really feels like it needs to be there, and you understand the pain these people have gone through and why this is such an important part of the film. So I just love the film. I think it's terrific and would highly recommend it.
Film is called Don't Look Now.
Yes. And so Black Sabbath is a horror anthology directed by the legendary Italian horror film director Mario Bava, who did many of those Giallo films that people, there's a huge following for Giallo films. And there's two different versions of this film. This is the American version that was released by American International Pictures. And it has Boris Karloff, who opens and closes the segments with there's a little film thing there with him introducing and closing it out. You also get Mark Damon, Jacqueline Sussard in the cast. And like I said, it's a horror anthology film, 90 minutes, gets in, gets out, does its business. But each one of the stories are pretty effective. I would say it's one of the better of the horror anthologies from the 60s. Of course, in the 70s, we got some really good ones in the 80s, too. But this is one of the early horror anthology films. Black Sabbath is very good of its type. Tim Lucas is the commentator on this, and he also has written a book about Mario Bava that's quite good. And a theatrical trailer. Those are the extras. So, and this next one I'll talk about, you may be familiar with this one, or maybe not. The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Oh, yeah. Very familiar with that one. Very familiar. I've been waiting for that one to come back out because I remember distinctly being drawn to that film.
Yes, this is the history of this film on home video is really interesting. And, of course, it was a film that was made for a couple $100,000 by Charles B. Pierce. And he was an Arkansas-based filmmaker. And he made this film based on the sightings of a Bigfoot-type creature in Fouke, Arkansas. And it's one of the earliest films of its type. 1972 is when it was released. And I think he pretty much just drove it around the country, and because there were so few prints. And eventually it caught on, and it became a huge sensation at drive-ins in the early 70s. And then it made its way to independent television stations, on broadcast stations before cable. That's where I saw it, on a local independent station. And there are some pretty... When you're at an impressionable age and you see it at the right time, it definitely leaves its mark. Let's put it that way. This film has been, for years, hard to get a good copy of it on home video because the original negative was thought to be missing. I think Quentin Tarantino had one of the only film prints of it. And it's filmed in widescreen. It's filmed in a 16 millimeter... it was filmed on 16 millimeter. I think it's like Techniscope, but that's like an anamorphic 16 millimeter. So you were missing half of the picture if you saw it on VHS tape or whatever. And in 2018, they located a pristine print of the film. They have gone in. They have redone the picture and the sound, and it looks as good as it's ever going to look.
Wow.
With 16 millimeter, when you blow it up to a higher definition, you don't quite get the same detail that you get with 35 millimeter. But as far as it goes, I mean, it's as good as it's ever going to look. And I thought the 5.1 surround soundtrack was pretty effective, actually, at times. And there are actually a few extras here. There's some behind-the-scenes footage that's never been seen before. They found this in the vaults as well, like silent outtakes. So,
Wow.
It shows them setting up scenes and stuff. So if you're a fan of The Legend of Boggy Creek, you got to get this. It's great if you're a horror fan, or if you grew up watching the film as I did, you got to have it. So
yeah, absolutely cool. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I know you maybe have a couple more on your home delivery reports.
I do. Yeah, let's do it. This one you probably have seen. Mission Impossible. This is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
That's right.
One.
You had to get part uno. That's it.
Part uno, yeah. And I'm hearing that the financially this film didn't do as well as they had anticipated. And so now I'm hearing that they're toying with the idea of dropping the Part 2 out of the title and just retitling it. I don't know when they do Part 2 next summer because they don't want to confuse people. But, it's definitely a come down from the last couple of Mission Impossible films. You just feel like the seams are starting to show. I mean, essentially what we found out is that they basically orchestrate these incredible stunts and then write the film after they've decided what stunts they're going to perform. So they don't really have a script before they start filming these stunts, and then they just kind of write a story to go around all these death-defying things that Tom Cruise is doing. So I think that's part of the problem. You need to start with a good, solid story, and this one just feels like it's kind of meshed together. And there's a death of a character towards the end that doesn't quite work. I'm not going to say any more than that. But anyway, as far as an audio-video presentation, this is incredible, though. This is, if you've got a good home theater system, wow, you're going to be blown away with this Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's just, it's really something to behold. So I will say that if you want a good workout for your system, you got to pick it up. And if you're a completist and you have all the other Mission Impossibles, you want to get it. It's a handsome little steel book here. You can kind of see there a collectible thing that they've got. And they've got a standard edition that's non-steel book too. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, now available from Paramount Home Video.
I said, yeah, it's definitely one for the action fans if you just want to dive into the sights and sounds of it. Absolutely. Whether you enjoy the film or not, you can definitely enjoy it for that aspect. I know we've got about a minute left, and I know you want to get one more in, so I'll let you dive into that last home delivery that's on your rundown.
Yeah, I will. And very quickly, I want to say legendofboggycreek.com will get you the Legend of Boggy Creek. Kino is the distributor on Black Sabbath. Criterion is the distributor on Don't Look Now, and Warner Archive on the other one, Before Night Falls. Sorry, I missed those. Toxic Avenger, the 4K collection, contains all 4 of the 4K remasters of the Toxic Avenger series of films. And lots of never-before-seen introductions here, behind-the-scenes retro trailers, traumatic features, because it's from Troma Entertainment. I'm a big fan of the original Toxic Avenger. I think it's really good. 2 and 3, not so good. I hate to say it. And the 4th one, they kind of come back a little bit with the quality, in terms of quality, but 2 and 3 are really, I hate to say it. But if you're a fan of these films, it's a terrific set that they've got going here with nice collectible artwork and and the extras. So the Toxic Avenger from Troma Home Entertainment in 4K for the first time ever.
Awesome. Adam Long, thanks for joining us for a home delivery segment right here on Meet Me at the Movies. We look forward to having you every month to give us that rundown of what people can find newly released and newly restored, and sometimes first time seeing them in certain formats, or being able to see them first time at all. So thanks for joining us and spending time with us to share those details. And for those of you spending time with us, again, we want to say thank you for watching us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Continue to join us each week as we dive into the world of cinema. And until next time, for Adam Long and for the entire cast of crew right here at Meet Me at the Movies, that's a wrap.
And the bad ones, many films to view till we meet again.